The ambulance service has come a long way from its humble beginnings. A service which began primarily as a transport service, delivering patients to hospital doors, has transformed itself over the last few decades to one which delivers medical care to where the patient needs it most. With the use of advanced mobile medical equipment, paramedics have even greater scope to carry out complex procedures for patients any time of day, anywhere in the region. So our ambulance clinicians and emergency medical advisors are now, more than ever, able to provide life-saving treatments and advice to patients quickly. This is having a remarkable impact on the lives of so many. In most cases, this can be life-changing for the people involved and gives all patients an insight and deeper appreciation of what lies behind those flashing blue lights. This film highlights the miracles that ambulance clinicians and advisors are performing every day across the region served by the staff of South East Coast Ambulance Service. It is a testament to all the staff who work tirelessly to provide the very best care to every patient that they encounter. They work tirelessly for us, so we can go through our day knowing that their help is just a phone call away.
Well, yeah, we just got married, and as a wedding present from our closest friends, they said, we'll babysit your son, and paid for us to go out for dinner in a nice restaurant. Arrived at the restaurant, sat down, had our menus. We're just about to order. Adam said to me, can you hold my hand a minute, please? And I was like, yeah, no problem. And then he just collapsed.
We were all in bed just having a nice lay-in actually. The boys were playing with their Christmas presents, and without any warning at all, Adrian sort of gasped and held his chest.
Fortunately, I had the day off. It was Friday the 13th. A normal morning, got up, feeding Isla, had a few twinges. Pain started to get a bit worse, quite intense. At this point, I called my partner to help me out. Literally went into the toilets and into the bathroom, and just knew that I'd gone into labour.
I just remember it being cold November morning, and we'd arranged to go and play table tennis with our friends and their daughter. We'd been playing around an hour. It sort of all went from there. Then the pain seemed to really, really kick in, and it was crushing. It was almost having a car parked on your chest. It was that bad.
So it was on a Friday, so it'd literally been just like a really normal day. I'd been at school and I was working on a drama piece for like the school. They have like a competition or whatever, and I'd just been working on that with my friends. Yeah, so then it was a party that evening, and so and it was a fancy dress party, so a lot of preparation for costumes. Mine was very poor. I was going as Harry Potter.
It was a normal Sunday. We'd been doing normal things. I'd been to the cinema with a friend.
I'd taken the dog for a walk. I'd done a little work in the garden, and in the evening 2 of our boys were going to be at home with us.
Food's all ready, we'll get it ready, let's go and sit down and see if there's anything on the television. And I was just very aware that he got up and didn't say anything but lay down on the settee. I took no notice of it whatsoever until I heard a very peculiar sound, and it just sounded like he was snoring, but in a slightly different manner. So I said, you all right? As you do, and there was no answer.
We were working towards both being retired, and we decided to move house when our children left home, and to start a B&B. So prior to the incident, we'd just moved into this house 10 days before it happened. I just remember waking up, hearing Jos moving about and groaning.
And then from then on, I know nothing.
I've immediately got the phone, and I phoned 999.
Adam was on the floor, his wife standing by him. There was no vital signs with him. He wasn't breathing. Very quickly, I opened my defibrillator, put the pads on him, indicated that a shock was advised. I administered a shock and then did a little bit of CPR.
Talking to Kim, Adam didn't have any medical history to speak of at all, nothing, so it was completely out of the blue, this. Number one child was being looked after and we knew there was a number two coming, you know, and we all had in the back of our minds that number two child needs daddy as well.
The call came through from Mrs Dance. Husband had a previous heart attack, was suffering with some chest pain, shortness of breath. About a few seconds into the call, he suddenly stopped breathing. Immediate cardiac arrest. So immediate care advice we could give was get him on the floor, start CPR on him. She had 2 small boys with her, so we sent them to go get a neighbour, just because to do CPR for any amount of time is exhausting. She needed some help, so just stayed with her until that crew got there.
The job came up as female in labour. We weren't too far away. I was actually in the second vehicle to turn up, so first of all Chris and his colleague turned up, and literally as I pulled up outside the door, Chris was coming out with little Sadie in his hands, really.
She was absolutely tiny. She came out, well, we now know 500 grams.
And I walked into the leisure centre. I remember turning into the cafeteria, the function room, where Tony was sitting on a sofa. He didn't look at all well. Put the defib on almost straight away, and we delivered the shock first of all. That did get his heart working properly again.
I remember this particular night I received a call and she just advised me that there was someone who's fallen off of the pier and then she's now laying in the mud.
And I knew exactly where she was. I knew that it was it's an old harbour wall which is very high.
I got out and had a look over the wall and I could see Keris laying on her side in the mud with the sea tide coming in over sort of up to her waist, blood pouring from her ear. Put on my high-vis jacket and started to descend the ladder.
I came over as quick as I could and I arrived and I saw Mrs Edwards at the door.
I opened the front door and then I came back and just saw him, and I actually saw him stop breathing. And I just knew then that that was it, and that he had gone.
At which point I commenced chest compressions. Like I said, he's a well-built chap, sturdy, so I had to give him a fair bit of force.
I think Alison said her husband wasn't breathing, he was making a funny noise, and I think I said to get him onto the floor and check if he was breathing, and she said no, he wasn't breathing, so let's just start CPR straight away.
Got straight in, straight up, found Alison, the wife, doing great CPR when we first got there. She's done a really good job, which, as we said, you know, to them later, that's the time that yours was probably saved.
I suppose it was just such a relief when he started fighting. I thought, well, there's something happening.
You know, it's like a mechanic. It's not having the spanner that's important. It's knowing which nut to tighten, isn't it? So, yeah, same principles apply. It's always very, very rewarding, of course, for all of us that we get a successful outcome.
So we don't get to see the results, you know, so to see this gentleman alive, well, you know, it's so gratifying, it's so lovely to see, it really, really is. It does sort of make it all worthwhile.
Well, seeing what I saw, first of all, I come out the door to this little thing here, it's just amazing, a miracle really, how far she's come, and I say, it makes the job worth it when you see the result of what we can do sometimes.
If I'd been a minute or two later, that situation wouldn't have been quite the same, and therefore the chances of me having a successful outcome to the resus would have been diminished, and every minute that passes the chances of a successful resus reduce markedly.
It's our job. So I say it is part of our job. Preserve life, prevent deterioration, promote recovery. That's what we aim to do. So, and luckily we've done it that night.
To be honest with you, none of it works without the whole chain there. I mean, I wouldn't be there if it wasn't for you know, Linda doing her job so well, getting information, recognising the turns of phrase that people use and realising what that's going to be.
We just did our job. You know, it's nice when we get the good outcomes because, like you said, it doesn't always work, and some people unfortunately are beyond our help, but we're just doing our job. We have skills that we get trained in to use with situations like that. A postman has skills to read a letter and put it through the letterbox. There's no difference. You know, people see us as heroes. We're just doing our job.
Well, I personally wake up in the morning and I hear my children, you know, calling out for me. And, you think to myself, well, I possibly couldn't have been here to see this.
We wouldn't actually be here as a family if Kat hadn't told me what to do, if she'd have not you know, taken charge of the situation and the quickness of the response.
It's hard to explain the feeling, you know, to meet someone who saved your life, you know, because they did. And if they wasn't at the end of that phone, like I say it again, I wouldn't be here, you know, to bring up my two lovely boys and to be with my wife, you know.
They don't understand. Thank you isn't enough. I know it's your job, but what you do is amazing. What all you guys do is amazing.
Thank you.
Whenever I see Gerda or Darren or anyone, Steve, it just makes me feel that the world is a better place. And it is.
Words really can't sum up, you know, what these guys did for me, and the care and attention they gave me, and they do it day in, day out. You know, to me, it's and my wife, it's really, really very special.
As a dad, you want to be able to help. You want to be able to sort it out. And at the point where I could do absolutely nothing, they did everything. I just think that's fantastic. You know, a selfless, heroic thing to do, really.
I know that we all have our jobs and we all do them, but it is the way in which you do a job. And yes, a hero is somebody who makes a difference, and they definitely made a difference that day to us, just in our lives. They made such a difference.
To come into a situation which is stressful, and I know it would be stressful with you at the time.
Oh gosh, it was, yes.
To come in and deal with it, and to deal with me as a patient, but also to deal with Nikki, who in some ways possibly needed more dealing than I did. And to be successful in both counts, I think is absolutely fantastic.
Well, I can't express enough what it means to me to have survived. I wouldn't have been here without your help. And your professionalism and your training and everything that goes into being able to perform the job that you do. And it's meaningful. It means a lot to me, and it means a lot to my family. Thank you.